Chris, welcome. Just quickly before we get into those news poll numbers, Pauline Hanson, you've sat through plenty of Senate sittings using that full-face burqa to pull a stunt today. What do you make of that?
Well, she's a headline hunter and she'll get the headlines that she's after in tomorrow's press. And of course, on the news tonight, she knew that she was going to do that. It draws a circle around one of her concerns, that she was wanting to have a bill that was banning the burqa. Look, I would counsel against doing something like this. I think there is an important conversation to be had about social cohesion in Australia. I think that that's been really supercharged in this year. We've seen all those Gaza demonstrations and the kind of behaviour that we've seen on the streets and the threats to our Jewish community. So all of that, I think, is a very serious conversation. I would hate to think, though, that somebody who chooses to wear a burqa in Australia might be targeted because of something like this. And I fear that that's the kind of thing that does happen.
Yeah, let's hope that's not the result. News poll, I was speaking there to Cam about it. Andrew Hastie, top of the list for preferred coalition leader, only 6% behind Susan Lee. I do note the figure that stood out for me in that part of the news poll was 46% of people didn't know who they wanted to have lead the Liberal Party.
Yeah, didn't know and probably didn't care, Stephen. Therein lies the problem for the coalition at the moment, and particularly, should I say, the Liberal Party at the moment. Look, you've got to worry when someone who is close to the leader says to you that they think that they'll make it to the end of this week. And remember that that's always the issue with leadership challenges. They're really only in trouble when everyone gathers in Canberra, because that's when they can have a vote. Now, I do think, given what I'm told, that she will make it to the end of the week, but I've been through many of these things before, so I would never say never. But obviously her leadership is under a cloud, and she can thank, frankly, the last two leaders of the Liberal Party, Scott Morrison and Peter Dutton, who lost 34 seats over the course of 2 elections, for dumping her in the worst possible position.
Chris, I couldn't count on 2 hands the number of times I've been sitting either hosting a program like this or hosting a radio program, whether it was in Melbourne or Sydney, and suddenly some bomb thrower appears out of nowhere and you've got a leadership spill on, and suddenly the leader's got to declare the vacant position and loses the vote. I mean, you and I have witnessed, how many times have we seen this? You can go through Rudd, Gillard, Rudd, you can go through Turnbull, Abbott. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, look, I remember vividly the night of the 23rd of June 2010 when I was involved with Mark Simkin in breaking the news that there was a move against Kevin Rudd. Well, it was novel in those days. There was an extraordinary amount of movement and excitement around that, but then it unfortunately became routine, and we've done incredible damage to our democracy because of that. Now, opposition leaders losing their jobs, now that used to be more common. All I can say to Susan Lee is that I think Brendan Nelson was actually in a worse position than she was when he lost his job, but eventually that did happen. And it's clear, it is clear that there are other people who are trailing their coats. Now, they might not be ready to go now, but are they just waiting their opportunity to go later next year, perhaps?